Hi there. I've recorded some summaries of the material presented in class on September 28. This file is going to cover Lesson 10. Lesson 10 talked about the history of atomic theory, what people have discovered about the structure of atoms over the years. These discoveries increased our knowledge of the atoms and therefore our knowledge of matter. I'm not going to go through all of the biographies and the specific discoveries. You can read those in your text. We know now from that discussion that an atom is composed of three main parts: the electron, which has a negative charge, the proton, which has a positive charge, and the neutron, which is negative. Neutral, excuse me. We also learned that there's a number called the atomic number, which represents the number of protons contained in an atom. Those protons are contained in the nucleus of the atom along with the neutrons. And when you look on the periodic table, we'll pick element number 28 right here. The Ni is the element symbol, stands for nickel in this case. The number above the Ni, the 28, is what's called the atomic number, represents the number of protons. Every nickel atom that is found contains 28 protons. If an atom has a different number of protons than 28, it can't be nickel. Now, we also learned briefly that the periodic table is arranged in a specific way, and these, what I'm drawing right now, are called periods. You might want to call them rows. And then if you look vertically, the periodic table is separated into groups. You might want to call them columns. Okay. So while we know that the number of protons has to stay the same, we know also that electrons come and go. If the number of electrons are equal to the number of protons, we have a neutral atom. There is no overall charge because they balance each other out. However, if the electrons decide to come and go, then instead we have an ion because we have an atom with a charge. There are two specific kinds of ions. There's a cation, which means we have lost electrons, and we have a positive charge. And there are also anions, which means we have gained one or more electrons and have an overall negative charge. So we know how to denote neutral atoms. We simply write them down like we see them on the periodic table with their element symbol. For example, magnesium we would write as Mg. However, magnesium happens to have a tendency to lose two of its electrons. When it does that, it's now an ion, so we have to give it another special piece of information in its notation. If it loses two electrons, there are two more protons. It's going to develop a charge that's known as 2+. That needs to be written to the right and above the area of the element symbol. That location is important because every location around an element symbol means something different. For example, if you put numbers down here, up here, down here, or bigger over here, means something totally different. So you have to be specific when you write ion notation and make sure you put that number to the right and above. The next file will talk about Lesson 11. See you there.